it's interesting, and obviously, like this U.S. administration is actually taking even a direct uh, impact, direct investment into companies. There's so-called now U.S. government portfolio, which has been growing with a list of new companies that's been added. And this is a
Mm.
very interesting topic because for our viewers, because these companies, the reason the US government is actually paying taxpayers' money to the budget of some of the US companies is because the US government thinks that these companies will play a key role in national development and security. So for the record, for example, last year, US government has invested into Intel. They took initially, I think, 10% equity stake, and then it increased. And they invested into some of the rare earth companies that produce develop and produce rare earth materials for AI builder companies, for AI chip companies, because again, it comes back to US-China relations. US, although has a strong AI applier infrastructure and AI builder infrastructure, um, US doesn't have well enough developed underlying ingredients, underlying materials infrastructure that go into AI parts, into chips parts. And companies, for example, like MP Materials, USA Rare Earths, they produce the materials required for chips manufacturing and physical components of data centers manufacturing. And the US government took a stake in those companies last year. Now, this week, we had an announcement that actually US government made an investment into some of the quantum computing stocks companies. And I've researched like what companies have received that investment. So we're talking about $2 billion. $1 billion will go directly into IBM quantum initiatives in exchange of equity stake for the US government, and one remaining billion will go into smaller companies. Some of these companies are not even represented on a stock market; they are private still, but some of them are public. For example, like D-Wave Quantum, Rigetti Computing, Psi Quantum in Inflection, Psi Quantum, those four, I think. And the news announcement came on like Thursday morning UK time, and this had like a huge impact on the stock market. Like some of these company valuations, some of these companies have added 30 to 40% in a course of 24 hours on evaluation. Now we actually had this discussion before, like some of the analysts were mentioning that the US government is likely to take some equity stakes in quantum. More rare earth development companies might be added. Chips manufacturing might be added, such as Intel. But again, it's like comes back to the point, like once the president decides to invest into certain kind of companies or his administration, they go for it, and everything what they touch basically becomes gold, at least in the short term. Like,
Yeah, these I think these quantum companies,
mhm,
they are now at the kind of a good price according
mhm,
to what they've been just a few months ago.
mhm,
Um, so I think their investment, or he made the investment at the right time.
mhm,
Um, and actually, I was even looking myself at this just for fun, these quantum companies, because I don't I believe this is very highly speculative kind of companies because what they are researching is something that is not feasible with the current technology. It's
Hmm.
like they are research companies more than anything. It's not clear that we will have quantum computing computers in the short term. It could be, yeah, well, I mean, it could be 5 years um, if we have them, or it could be 100 years because the technology is like, who knows if this is gonna be happening. So this is highly speculative investment, and yeah, I mean, I think that right now maybe it's a good moment to invest uh, because their price is pretty low according to the historic price. But probably these companies can go like can do 100x or they can go close to zero.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you think if do you think the taxpayer of the US um, will be happy about that? Or
Hmm.
what's your view on this on these companies?
Hmm. Well, I talk about the companies themselves a little bit and then the taxpayers' view.
Mm.
So the companies themselves, so obviously IBM is a big company, very well known, one of the um, companies that led us into internet era in 2000s and personal computing. So it's a well proven company with solid financials and solid valuation, and it's a more or less safe investment, and it could actually appreciate in value. It has a lot of room to run because it could be like a sleeping giant right now. And it's a healthy company, like with again healthy financials, profitable, not very high PE ratio, price earnings. The rest of the quantum computing companies that develop quantum computing initiatives, they are way more speculative. They don't have very solid balance sheet. They are all unprofitable. They're running losses. And oftentimes, when they publish their results, even if they publish like quite negative profitability results, the market still rewards them with stock price appreciation right after their earnings dates. So the market reacts very, very irrationally to their earnings, particularly in the times of a good market. So right now we at historic all-time highs for S&P 500. These companies produce results. They have stock price appreciation, even if the results have a lot of questions and doubts in themselves. Um, However, if the times when we get into bad times, like it was like just let's say 2 months ago with Iran war raging, same results could have direct opposites performance impact on the stock price.
Yeah,
Um,
they are momentum stocks basically.
Exactly, exactly. And in terms of like technologies, so each of the like, for example, in US, there's like key four companies that like lead in the quantum computing space. That's like IonQ, Rigetti, D-Wave Quantum, and quantum computing. And also like smaller ones like Global Foundries, for example, Inflection, I mentioned. Um, the discussion was that actually US government will take a stake in IonQ because this is by far the biggest, the most well established, purely driven quantum computing company and with the most like proven financials. Like they're actually that company is actually on track to making profit. They are very close to making profit, like year on year. They're just a little bit in a loss, well, relatively a little bit in a loss. Like, I'm not going to dive
Right.
into specific numbers, but
Right.
this news came out, and actually, U.S. government decided to take a stake in Rigetti and D-Wave, the competitors of IonQ, like the smaller companies. And so like these two, like they were rewarded um, higher stock price appreciation this last 2 days comparing to IonQ, even though IonQ is much healthier and like more well-established company in quantum computing. But the point remains the same. These all like quantum computing companies, they make pretty much the same technologies. Their goal is identical, but how they run their processes is different. Um, and if we dive a little bit into technicals, I just say a couple of words. For example, IonQ, they specialize in like ion trap technology, whereas like Rigetti, they want to make like quantum computing run on more like low sub-zero temperatures, and quantum computing wants to run it in normal temperatures. So like just the technology that they use, all these four companies, like and the rest, just slightly different. And the people that actually understand the technology very well, the engineers, they can only understand the real difference it makes to operations of those companies. The average investor um, will not understand all the technicalities. So it is very hard to like really understand what's the difference between the four, aside from like financials. I mean,
Yeah.
of the quantum computing.
Yeah. While you were explaining that, I was wondering, yeah, okay, these are kind of research companies,
Hmm.
but one of them you mentioned is close to make a profit.
Hmm.
The others are making losses because
Hmm.
obviously, if they are mostly research, they have very little to sell, right? Uh, but I wonder what kind of quantum technology is right now on the market. What do they sell? I've heard some time ago that they could sell this kind of cryptography, uh, like this kind of devices where you can encrypt things, highly secure things, and like which are impossible to basically uncipher. So is it this what they sell, or has do they have like any more products out there, if you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, happy to talk about it. I'd say that I haven't heard like big signups that they have. Um, for example, in comparison to Palantir, because Palantir also like started very similarly to these quantum computing companies in AI defensive space. And
Mhm.
then they started having big signups from clients that wanted to use their technology. And then the government intervened and started using Palantir technologies for defense contracts. And the Palantir price skyrocketed, their profitability skyrocketed, and they like really established themselves very well, not just in terms of like stock price evaluation as a company. um, I think it could be the case, similar case with quantum computing, in a sense that what they offer, for example, IonQ has been selling a lot, like the past to their profitability, they've been selling a lot of um, quantum computing application softwares to logistics running companies to optimize the logistic routes between the various points. So there's a famous economical slash mathematical problem of route optimization. You may have like let's say
Yeah.
200 points you need to deliver goods to, like physical delivery of goods. What is the most optimal route to
Mhm.
deliver these goods? For
Yes.
normal computer or even a supercomputer that we have, even with AI enabled features, it will take still years to solve this problem, if not decades
Right.
or hundreds of years, you know. For quantum computing computers, it can take hours or minutes to solve this problem,
Mhm.
in theory. And this is what they've been trying to, for IonQ in particular, to sell to logistics delivery companies. Um,
right? So
you
if I,
mentioned as well deciphering, different like sh scripts, and yeah, like cryptography, big application in cryptography as well.
Mhm. Yeah, if I understood correctly about the first case you mentioned, the optimization, they sell basically software, or they have like a, I guess, an API or a portal or something,
Hmm.
but they don't sell hardware, right? So you can basically submit the root that you have, the problem, the parameters of the problem, and then that goes to a quantum computer that they have somewhere, uh, basically to provide a solution for that, and then the solution is transferred back to the client.
Yes, not
Um,
yet exactly. They may want to do that, especially like D-Wave and IonQ.
right.
In the near future, but we don't yet have a uh, s- physical sales of quantum computing because they are just like you see this is like a picture of like quantum computing, like so
Yeah,
what it
exactly. That
is
was
like
my point.
it's like very like it's still very new, like how
Yeah,
like
of
would I
course, you
buy
need a
this
lot
to
of
my home,
space.
to replace my normal computing, to
You need a
make
home just for the computer.
yeah, to make me more efficient and productive. Is and that's exactly the point. So they haven't yet proved themselves in a commercial field, and that's why they remain very speculative and unprofitable. And so far, the application of all quantum computing companies have been more of business to business domain, not business to consumer domain. I don't think the business to consumer domain will happen yet in the near time future.
Mhm.
But the technology is very interesting. Obviously, the main bits, like to explain, is quantum computing differs from normal computing because normal computing operates in one and zero mode. This is a binary code. The quantum computing can combine being in one and zero at the same time. This is what allows it to process operations much faster. And this is how it could be useful, for example, to like AI, let's say, because AI enabled by quantum computing will be basically like a steroid AI. It will think much faster. It will solve fast problems uh, like that can take years or decades in a matter of minutes in the future. We are not yet at this point. We haven't yet integrated quantum computing into AI to actually enable the sales of business to consumer, let's say.